got a weird laugh in it, doesn't he?
It's weird. Has anyone met John Jarratt?
Yeah.
What's he like?
I've presented for him a couple of
Did
times.
you say he was weird?
Let's bring that up.
Did you say he was sort of strange?
He's not strange. Well,
He's
off the record.
no. Look, he's very John Jarratt.
Yeah. Okay.
He gets sick and tired of. We should just say this for the pod.
We should.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
say that for the pod.
So we are recording sound, we are recording video, we are all three of us on screen, we are all three of us not obscured by the pop filters.
Superb.
Amazing.
Scream Queen.
Is that?
When you're ready.
All right. Hello, children of the popcorn. It is I, Scream Queen. I'm here with my lovely co-host. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Yes, Mr. Popcorn. Lovely to be here again with you, Scream Queen.
And the Baron, peace and long life.
Alright, wonderful. So we are here today talking about continuing our Aussie horror series, talking about probably one of the most prolific, I feel like it's fair to say, Australian horror classics. It's sort of one that we need to cover, I think, in this series. And that is Wolf Creek. This is written, produced and directed by Greg Mclean. This was his debut feature as well, which is pretty impressive, I would say. And he's gone on to make, obviously, the sequels and TV series.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we have John Jarratt in this film as the iconic Mick Taylor, the antagonist of this film.
Would you say Australia's king of the slashers?
King, I would say that's fair. I don't know who else would wear that crown.
I mean, Greg Mclean literally wanted Australia to have its own slasher icon, like Freddy, like Jason, etc.
I feel like a lot of the online world would agree that he fits that bill. We have 3 tourists. We have Ben, Christy, and Liz, played by Cassandra McGrath. Kesty Marassi?
Kessel? I think it's Kessel.
Kessel, is it?
Yeah.
Well, one of those names, and Nathan Phillips, who are all Australian actors as well.
And if I may, Scream Queen,
go for it.
Greg Mclean, he is known for the Belko Experiment, so yeah, that's a classic horror out there. Rogue, I know, has quite a following. Yeah, absolutely.
Rogue.
Yeah, that's got quite the cult following.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, the Wolf Creeks and Jungle with Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe, big budget. Don't know about it until today. We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a horror?
No. Action, adventure, kind of political intrigue, etc., etc.
Oh.
Yeah.
Normally films with the word jungle in them have the rock in them.
Yeah, true. True.
So this movie needs no introduction, I think. I think a lot of people out there have seen this, especially if you live in Australia.
Yeah.
It sort of has a reputation as well. This classic starts off being, it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
Well, it uses that lightly, but it draws inspiration from famous local killers like Ivan Milat, notorious backpacker.
The Balangalo State Forest.
Yes, yeah, and Bradley Murdoch as well. So what we think is a harmless road trip from Broome to Darwin turns nightmare when 3 young backpackers' car suddenly stops working.
Honestly, for the first half, that's what it is. It's a road trip.
It's a wholesome, wholesome family film about 3 backpackers. But yeah, what are our initial thoughts on this film?
Sure. Yeah, this was interesting because I watched this when it initially came out, and I was like, okay, cool, that's a nice, cool, brutal slasher film. And then 20 or so years later, I go back and watch it, and this is like a sad, slow burn character study, some supernatural elements, and then right at the very end does it turn gratuitous.
Yes.
It's not what I remembered at all. This is far more accomplished than I remembered, if I may say. Yeah?
I'd agree.
Go for it.
Yeah, for a debut film.
Yeah.
Exceptionally good.
Yeah,
Baron, what do you reckon?
Well, this is the second time I've seen it through in one go. So I've seen a lot of this in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I have seen the start of it a number of times. So I think I've generally seen up until about the point where they wake up zip tied and such.
Yes.
And then I'll go, oh yeah, well this is just a standard slasher from here on out. I'll get back to it, and I never kind of did. So I saw it first at the cinema, all the way through, really enjoyed it. And then this is the second time I've watched it through in one go. It's very Australian.
Yes.
I will note, no dead kangaroos.
No dead kangaroos. That's very surprising, honestly.
Yeah. There is a symbolic dead kangaroo. We see one of the shots is framed through a bullet hole in a road sign with a kangaroo on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'll call that an honourable mention. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Like, John Jarratt is beautifully unhinged.
Yeah.
And wonderfully awful in this film. Like, I want to hate him.
But you can't
really
because
entirely.
he's
That's
so
lovely.
The thing. He's still kind of like Mick.
Yeah,
at the end of it, yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I had a different experience.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I'm going to be the spanner in the works in this episode, which is funny because I'm the one that brought this to the table, so I understand the irony of that. But I watched this film when I was like, I've always watched horror, but like when I was in high school, it was like watching a horror movie like every night.
Yeah,
like I was watching a lot of horror, a lot more than I do now, I think.
Sure.
Because I was like, I just have to catch up, I have to get on everyone's level.
Yeah.
And so I watched this, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a good horror film. It's well made. The characters are really interesting. The killer even is very unique. But watching it second time through, I really struggled with this film.
Okay.
Just with the violence of it.
It's pretty sharp.
It is. And I know I know that this is a horror podcast and horror movies have gore, but I think this one was a bit much for me.
We should also do a trigger warning. There is it's extreme mentions of sexual assault. Like it's text, not subtext. Obviously, it doesn't quite go on as long as the Bliss of Evil assault scene, but it's pretty close.
It's more graphic.
And
I
it's
would
certainly
say.
more graphic.
It's treated better than that film as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually I did not enjoy watching the film.
Okay.
Although I can appreciate it for all that it is. I really didn't enjoy watching it. I found myself having to fast forward through particular sections.
But you'd seen it before.
I had seen it before, but I think what I'm getting at is that I'm a lot more sensitive to violence than I was, I guess, when I was a teenager. I like it. It really I guess just violence against women.
Yeah, sure.
Than I was.
Is it the weight of the years? Like it's obviously a different time now than it was when you first saw it.
Yeah, I guess so. But that's just something I found interesting.
If I may ask, what in particular about the violence? I mean, I know you said yes. There's it's against females. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I think. Well, I was going to get into it, but I just think that, and I think bad things like this do happen, of course. But I just don't want to watch it.
Yeah,
I
there's no need for apologies.
And I do like this film. I just don't like watching it. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
And I just think having to hear, even though they're acting, having to hear a woman sort of crying out for help for 10 minutes is pretty brutal.
And that scene in particular, that was. Okay, so if you want to break it down to real world, that was beautifully acted. Like to elicit that response from you, it was obviously done well.
Yeah.
And also the way that it's set in that part of the Australian outback, that remote as well. There's no escape.
Yeah, I guess there's
there's
a hopelessness to it, which is like you said.
I think that adds to what you're feeling as well, rather than a violent scene in an apartment in a city. This also adds more weight to it, the way that where this these acts are set.
Absolutely, and like you said, it is sort of it's sort of a sad
it is.
watch.
Yeah.
And I felt myself very affected.
This ain't Chucky or anything.
No, it's like you can't have a belly laugh at this.
Yeah, no, totally
Oh,
fair.
I
The
did
start
find,
is pretty funny.
I did
actually.
find some humour in the scene where, and we will get to it, but I found some humour in the scene where she was getting away in the car, and he pulls up alongside her in the other car, and he's pulling faces
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff at her.
Yeah, yeah,
like that
yeah,
was
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think that's
and-
more on the performance.
And also, well, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Yeah.
Moments of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
You have a dark humour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once it gets into the business, the
Yeah.
humour's gone.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing. I was looking at my notes, and I sort of just stopped taking notes at a certain point because I was like, oh my god. But I was like, oh, this is like actually funny, or like not actually funny. John Jarrett's performance as Mick Taylor is very
it's
light.
funny,
It's
funny.
lights and shade, and
Yeah.
it's sort of this stereotype that we all like to sort of laugh at, and he really takes it to like the nth degree, and that's
Really does.
really fun. But then all of a sudden it switches, and you're like, oh god. So that was my experience.
Yeah.
I wondered, sorry, I just had a thought, and I wonder if that is why I'm speaking for myself here, but it is a thing. Like, I was watching John Jarrett and the chickie from the TV show, the first season, a quick interview before tonight. What was he saying? That... Sorry, it's gone. It's gone. God damn it. It's okay.
I had a real visceral response that I didn't have the first time I saw it. When she's watching back the video in the video camera and you see him pouring the water for the child, like it never occurred to me when I first watched it. And it's like, oh, that's where the drugs are.
Yeah.
That child, well, I knew the child was dead, but it's like, no, that really brings it to the front.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Remember it?
Yep. Go
Awesome.
back to me. I think this is part of the reason why we still kind of like Mick, even though we don't want to admit it. This film basically makes us confront our blind patriotism, because Mick is against the outsiders, he's against the tourists, and he's very the most Australia character you could imagine. That he does represent us, and us against the world. And I get that feeling that is a part of his popularity.
Jingoism, parochialism.
And all of that. Yeah.
And I'm excited to talk about it. So sort of, I feel like I've lent very strongly to one side here. Just
But no, that's
like,
cool. That makes an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for you guys to sort of bring me more to the middle.
Okay.
I'd rather have a conversation where one of us has a slightly different opinion than of us all having the same opinion.
Yeah. That's great. It sucks. Done.
Yeah. Yes. No, but I really had that visceral reaction to the video. And that scene didn't even have John in it. But by the way, John, if you're watching it, we really enjoyed your performance. Yeah.
It's good.
Well done.
I also think I was watching this with my housemates as well, and
Sure.
I think that I'm like, maybe if I was by myself, I would have like knuckled through it.
Yeah.
But this, I was just like, I don't want to put them through this. Like they just came in to watch a movie with me, that sort of thing. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the plot.
Sure.
I feel like the plot is pretty straightforward. It does start as a very different movie, which is interesting. So it starts with, we have Ben, Liz and Christy.
Mm-hmm.
Ben's from Sydney, Liz and Christy are two tourists from the UK. And like I said, they're road tripping from Broome to Cairns. So that's a big drive.
And the geography doesn't match up.
No.
So if you are following along, I did it today because I hadn't done it in the past. I was going, okay, so that we see a road sign. Okay, so where is that on their path? Oh, that's back down on the coast, closer to Perth. That's over here. This is in the middle of the Northern Territory. So they move around quite a lot.
Yeah. I do like they have the sort of like the trope of like going to the petrol station.
Yeah, gas station for American
gas station. The trope of that, like you see him sort of like getting the car ready, and like they're going on this trip, and they have this big send off, and they're partying, and they're the youth, they're doing shots, like getting hammered before they
Pushing
have to do
people
this.
into pools.
Pushing people into pools before they have to do this big drive.
Waking up with random strangers on the beach.
It's very 2005. And that's the feeling I got.
85 to 2005.
Yeah.
We all know.
Look, I was 5 years old when this film came out. And so they go on this big drive. Oh, we also, important to note, Ben and the two girls obviously encounter a lot of sort of not very nice men in Australia. They come across, you know, a few people who are keen to make a few jokes about the girls and a gangbang.
Mm-hmm.
And such.
So there's some backstory to that guy that was the attendant. Like he seemed to have higher status than the guys in the bar, and he was in a polo shirt and he was clean shaven. Oh, I don't remember his name.
Do you think there's a bit of a Texas Chainsaw conspiracy, being that he's the the attendant who is in league with
I think he's in league with Mick.
I think so. He gave me dodgy vibes, and he looked scary. His overalls were too tight, in my opinion. It was frightening.
Okay, Wolf Creek. So his name. Once I can get it on my phone.
My bet is it starts
It's a
with
theory, because in the TV show they go into more that the locals, the town folk, know Mick.
So, because I've not seen the show, I've not seen the TV
so
show.
there is, weight to that. And Greg Mclean is a world builder. That's how he writes, and he thinks ahead. So it's possible, entirely possible.
Jeff Revell, petrol attendant.
What?
What did you think of their accents?
Just referred to
Well,
it.
The British accents? I thought they were pretty good. I thought they were British actresses.
So did I.
Until I looked it up.
Yeah, so I did.
And I
I
was
found out today they were Aussies.
I was like, oh, they also just look British.
They do look British.
Like they look British. They don't look Australian.
I did.
Pale like drinking.
I did see, I think, an interview with Cast a while back where they got to pick their accents. So it was like, it wasn't one that was forced on, it was one they could do.
So they could have picked any sort of European.
Yeah. I think they were going. Well, they could both do UK accents, so it was basically all from the UK.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yes. So they encounter these people along the way, rednecks. Yeah. So we're getting this vibe
Bogans,
of like, and people who are not used to tourists coming around, essentially, and we're getting the vibe. They're being alienated by the locals, essentially. And their goal on their road trip is to visit Wolf Creek, where they can find this big meteor crater, which is a real thing.
It is.
Which I had no idea.
It's just spelt differently, Wolf. W-O-L-F-E.
They took the E off.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But it's the second largest crater in the world.
Yeah.
Which I just think is fun.
What, next to Grand? That's not a crater. What am I talking about?
The Grand Canyon.
That's not a crater.
No, the Tick made that.
What's the biggest crater?
I have no idea. I didn't look
Sorry,
that
just
up.
curious. But carry on.
Brisbane.
Yeah. So their goal is to hike to this crater.
That's loaded. Yes.
And it's terrible weather. It's pouring rain. They're all having a bit of a go at Ben, who has been like, great idea, Ben, to come to this crater, but it is pretty amazing. When they get there, they relish in it. Ben and Liz sort of have this like romance going.
So the largest crater in the world is the Vredefort crater, located not far from Johannesburg in South Africa.
Oh, okay. Sure.
What has happened to my voice?
But
you're black. Yes, I've got diplomatic immunity. But yeah, in South Africa.
There you go. Well, we have the second largest crater, and they come back.
No gift shop though.
No, it's pretty desolate out there. That's also the landscape shots of this film are also very notable.
I enjoyed the shot of that from above with the road that leads up, and then just a little bit of a roundabout, and then leads away. It's like it's the only road. And people, if you are interested, the crossing that they were attempting in the film would have been stopped not much further than where they got if it was the wet season. There would have been flooded roads. They wouldn't have been able to get through. They were trying to cross the country at entirely the wrong time and in entirely the wrong place.
They sort of say that, but I don't know if the stakes aren't really as not real world stakes. It felt very naturalistic to me. This like acting, like the conversations between the characters, which I found
possible that's what they did.
Yeah, and I found that really endearing. Because you know these characters we don't learn a lot about their backstories or why they're there, but we just know they're having a good time, and we know that they get along and they obviously care for each other. However short-lived that is, you know. They get back down from the crater. The car battery has died.
Oh no!
Oh no! And you know, it's like, did you leave the lights on? Ben, what did you do? And they're like, no, I didn't leave the lights on.
So I had a conversation with John Jarrett at Supernova when I presented for him once, and I did ask him, what did you do to the car? What did Mick do to the car? But it's him. My computer just made noise. But yeah, basically what he said he did was he loosened the cable that goes into the coil. So they mentioned the coil. I used to have a 1978 Chrysler Sigma that the coil would go on occasionally. And it is very much like what happened. Like the car just does not work. But you can just slightly take the cable off it, and it means that the car won't work.
But it's an easy fix.
It's a real easy fix. Like if it would have been one of the things I checked. It would have been one of the things I checked on that car. But yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. And it's all in his hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the. We also have that alien sort of story. Which I thought was really fun. I really liked of Ben sort of telling this. No.
No, it does. It does.
Ben.
No, I mean there's no actual aliens.
No, there's no aliens. But sorry.
Sorry.
So Ben is telling them this story of, you know, there was this guy. He was out at a place like this. Looked up. There was a glowing light. He heard this crack, this explosion. This rocket shot up into the air. That he had this alien, you know, interaction. And all the girls are all spooked out and stuff. Oh my god! And then the car stops working. Their watches stop working as well, which I find very fascinating.
Yeah.
And Ben is like, well, what if this all? There's a reason for all of this. What if this is an alien interference? So he sort of plants that seed.
Yeah.
And then we do get the payoff of the glowing orbs, our light coming towards them. They are like in this terrible situation. The car is dead. They are stranded. There is no sign of life.
Yeah.
And then we get these bright beams of light coming towards them that they don't know what they are. So they're like, oh my god, this is aliens. But of course,
it's Mick.
it's Mick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his very famous, like, beaming light car, which is terrifying.
Yeah. Well, imagine being out there and not knowing the place.
Yeah.
And suddenly this thing is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the truck's a great character unto
The
itself.
truck is. I
really
feel like they
is,
don't utilize it enough in the first movie.
Oh. I mean, it dies a death.
It's true, but I just them being followed by that car throughout the movie would have been fun.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, being in the background, I think more would have probably heightened it.
Because that's what I remember from the second film. We won't talk too much about the second, but that's what I remember. The sort of haunting of the lights. I could be inventing that though.
But they do lampshade that with the video, where she's looking at the video from the truck stop,
yes,
the gas station, and Mick's ute is in the background, and he's obviously been following them since then. And just the fact that
I audibly gasped.
Yeah.
I was like, I was really sensitive to everything that was happening in the film, whether it was reveals or whether it was violence. Very visceral reactions. Then Mick is introduced.
Yep.
So let's talk about Mick as a character. We talked a little bit. Obviously, we all think he's a great villain.
You're an amazing villain. You've got to stop saying amazing. But now I've got to stop saying amazing.
He is this this Australian archetype. The Australians, especially I guess for tourists, have this reputation for being these sort of charming, like, slang speaking, at least when this movie was made.
Yeah.
It's not, characters. And so at least the UK people, Liz and Christy, are very charmed by him.
Yeah, they're naive.
They're like, oh, he's so nice. Like, Ben, why don't you talk like that guy?
Because the audience is also watching, thinking, what the hell are they doing? Because Australians are known to be violent, racist psychopaths.
Exactly.
This is also the perception overseas around this time of, it's a dual thing, definitely.
I think that is probably the most compelling part of this film, is those two, like, lenses, like, bashing up against each other.
Basically, anyone outside of a major city is going to tear off your skin and wear it as a hat.
Exactly. But, like, did those I feel like, are those perceptions invented by this film? Or invented
probably
by Ivan Milat?
Yeah, it would all go
not
together.
Invented.
Okay,
like, they are true. They're not invented, but
embodied.
Is this exacerbated?
Created. Oh, exacerbated. Yes,
Exacerbated, you could say epitomized, if you will, as well at that time.
Yeah.
But this perception's been going on for goddamn
long.
Okay.
Ever since we came out of here as
pretty much
as convicts.
Yes, because this is a colonial drama, horror, however you want to put it, but it plays on those tensions to this day.
I find
which is Australia.
I find it interesting that Ben's character has the Aussie Swazi, the Southern Cross tattoo.
Yeah, he does.
does.
The Aussie Swazi.
I was really surprised by that because
I've never heard that before.
Heard that.
Yeah,
That's
I haven't heard that either.
That's so good.
Sorry to any of our listeners that haven't, but sorry, you've got the Aussie Swazi.
But that surprised me because we have him, we have these like blokes coming up to him being like, oh, two girls who travel, they get extra loose when they travel, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, prick, whatever, under his breath. But he has the Southern Cross tattoo. I thought that was very funny. I was just like, maybe that's sort of this fun commentary about him being this sort of like city guy that like wants that sort of like, I don't know, there's something there. There's something in that that's sort of beyond me.
Yeah.
I think Ben's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Absolutely.
He probably plays AFL and Sydney.
Yeah.
That sort of thing's got the thing,
Yeah, it's just
But he treats them well. He treats the two girls well, definitely.
Yeah, at no point do you feel that he's pushing his luck with Liz.
No.
Like even in the point when they're at the crater and he leans in for the kiss, he stops to check for consent. So she moves to him.
Okay.
Like he moves in for the kiss.
He's cheesing too. Like he's really grinning. Like he's not like putting on anything.
No.
But
he stops. He doesn't push, and she comes. She meets him halfway, which I find from a performance perspective amazing. I find it really interesting that they included that. Like it would have been really easy just to go kiss her, and it'll be fine. Like her character likes your character. It's no problem. But I think it may be a choice that the actors made to show that the feeling is both ways.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, and I think Ben is a good guy as well. There's nothing to indicate that he's an egg. The Southern Cross tattoo is just...
Yeah, it's just the Southern Cross. It might even be the actors.
Just alarmed me. Yeah, he might just have the tattoo.
Scream Queen, as just to touch on your point of this film creating this impression of Australia, it certainly did though. Don't get me wrong, you are right there, because around this time in New Zealand, when I was backpacking around New Zealand, I walked into a hostel in Wellington, into the lounge, TV room, whole bunch of, Europeans watching Wolf Creek.
Not the YHA across from the Bats Theatre? Near the big supermarket?
Yeah, I know the one you mean. No, it's further down,
Okay.
near where the boat lands, but I know that one.
Very niche.
Very much so. And they were all looking at me going, is this real? Is this what happens? Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes,
so good luck.
exactly.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I had never been to Australia apart from very young. I'd never been back. At that point, I just thought I'd throw that around. But point being that, yes, even in New Zealand around that time, this impression this movie was
That's
cast.
a lot of the
was
reviews
cast.
that I was seeing were just like, oh God, like Australia must be... How did this not destroy the Australian tourism industry?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was an effect.
Yeah.
I'd say there would have been an
absolutely.
effect, absolutely. Either way, You would have had people too scared or people going, okay, bring it on.
Yeah.
there is that
there
as well.
is that factor,
Yeah.
for sure. So Mick, he has that sort of colloquial Aussie, a larrikin.
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 Very
That's
larrikin.
the
Very
goddamn-
larrikin word, yeah. That's the one. And he is like, oh, you guys are lucky I drove through here.
Yeah.
How would you explain larrikins to people from overseas? Like the little rascals, but big and violent and drunk.
Well, larrikin's more.
Like, it's like the Ned Kelly sort
Yeah.
of
But it
persona.
means well.
It
It
does
likes a
mean
bit of a
well.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little mischievous.
Mischievous. Yeah, mischievous is a good one.
Causing
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah.
Maybe some petty crime.
Yeah. But nothing you could go to jail for. The kind of
No.
crime that the local cop would go.
And with a heart of gold.
Heart of gold.
That's, yeah. And
Well-
that's the impression that the Brits get as well.
In the couple of times that I've presented for John Jarrett at Supernova, he often tells stories about Mick.
Mm-hmm.
He's of the opinion that if Mick wasn't chasing you, if you were just in the pub on a Friday night, and Mick was in your shout group, for those people overseas, shout group is where one person pays for this round of drinks, the next person pays again, blah, 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 blah. He said if you were in a shout with Mick, he would hold up his end. He would watch your beer for you when you went to the toilet, make sure no one else drank it. So he would be your mate in the pub if he wasn't stalking you.
Well, you know what I found interesting on that is, we'll get to the campfire scene in a bit, but the what's it? Ben farts. They're having a burp, they're having a fart, and Mick is immediately like, oh, "Come on, mate! Like there are
ladies.
women
Yes,
around."
There are ladies around.
Yeah, and I was just like, the the insanity,
Yeah.
but with the manners
Yeah.
of like very traditional
Oh, yeah.
like manners.
Yeah.
Is very interesting.
Yeah.
Very strange. Very off-putting.
There's a lot wrong with Mick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But he charms them. But I think Ben is sus. This is the thing, because Ben is like, because he makes some comment that sort of goes over the girls' heads, and they're like, why aren't you like that guy? And he's like, that guy? But, you know, it's sort of their only hope.
Yeah.
They have no other situation. They try to get a ride back into town, but
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going south.
Yeah,
You guys want to go north? That's a problem.
Do you think, if at that point they'd made the different decision to stay there, do you think they would have lived?
No.
You think?
I thought about this when I was watching the
Okay.
movie, because I think a lot of, at least my housemates and a lot of people online, it seems, are like angry at these protagonists for how little they do to stop their fate.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, people are inclined to do that when they watch horror movies, like, don't go up the stairs, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I really don't think that they could have done anything. I think
Okay.
that he would have done anything. Like, he had picked his target, he'd obviously followed them.
Yeah.
Like, if they had said no, he just would have found another way.
So do you think maybe he had some of the drugged water with him?
I don't know, but he's not above violence.
Yeah.
Just immediately, just like whack on the head. I think
Yeah.
he would have done it.
And no one knows where he is. I
No.
believe the authorities don't even know
Yeah.
where he is
No.
as a encampment. Yeah.
And I think, you know, if they said no, he would have left, and maybe he would have come back the next
When
day.
they were asleep.
Yeah, like he could have done anything. I
Yeah.
really don't think that they could
Yeah,
have
I
avoided
mean, he could
it.
have stood up at the campsite and finished all three of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it's, you know, it's probably all the better for him that they want to come to his camp
Yeah,
and
yeah.
da-da-da.
Yeah, I mean, he's a wolf. He's
Yes.
hunting. This is
Yes.
part of his, you know.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's why they dropped the E on Wolf Creek.
Yeah.
wee. But yeah, he's very insidious, but he has this persona of being very like friendly, and he makes it known how much he's putting himself out.
Yeah.
And he's putting on the larrikin for the
Yes.
girls at the start as well. And Ben, being the Aussie, knows a bit more about Aussies, I think,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
this stage as well. Yeah.
My question from the start of the film, that's something that I just remembered that I'd written down, is why didn't he buy the combi for $900 instead of the $1,500 station wagon? The combi in the background was $900.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
sure.
better car for Australia.
Yeah, it is for travelling, absolutely.
That's such a
It's
good
weird.
question.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Because
folks, for
Was the
derailing.
combi red?
Greg, answer. Write to us, Mr. McLean.
It's the red car.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, okay.
That's why.
Oh, yeah, because she wanted a purple car. She said, when he brings the car, she goes, "Oh, I ordered a purple one or something." Yeah. Okay.
Something there.
Purple,
Something
royalty,
about
English,
he's young.
bourgeoisie, colonial times again.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's not thinking about the practicality of the situation at
okay.
all.
Yeah.
He just wants to make sure they have booze in the car. So.
And he has a hunting knife this whole time as well. Has he brandished it? Has he been showing it
Mick?
off? Yeah.
Not yet.
He hasn't
No,
been,
not yet.
he hasn't been doing things
He's
with the
playing
knife
it very
around the
cool.
campfire.
He's,
Yeah, okay.
he's put all of the onus on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
okay. I'm
you
with
guys decide.
It is on his belt at the back, though.
Nice belt to the back. Okay.
But then they go with him.
Yeah.
If
I mean, yeah. All,
he toes.
yeah, all bush people have got knives. All,
Yeah.
people
They're
got
like,
knives, yeah.
whatever. It's like Crocodile Dundee. That's what they immediately call
Yeah.
him. They're like, oh, he's so Australian.
And all Brits
Crocodile
walk around with
Dundee.
knives. Going shopping.
Lots of knife crime in the UK, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they go back with him, and it's a very long drive.
It is.
It's very long.
And off-road.
Yeah.
Sus, yeah.
too.
I get the
Yeah.
feeling, though, that if he had said, okay, I'll drive you to town, and then just went to his camp.
Yeah, absolutely. They would have been like, you're going the wrong way, and it's like, what? You're literally attached to my car.
Yeah,
Where are you
yeah.
gonna go?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, okay. Answer my own question.
yeah. So this is where we get the campfire scene.
Yep.
They come back to his camp. He has taken over an abandoned mining camp.
Yeah.
Okay.
From
yeah.
what I can
Yeah, makes
remember.
sense. Yeah, it's a couple weeks.
Yeah. And so he's got this whole setup. They're very impressed by it. He's like, oh, I'll fix your car. But they sit around. He gives them the water.
The rainwater
From
from
the
the
top end.
Nothing
Nothing
like it.
like it. Yeah, terrifying. And this is where we sort of start to see the flip, sort of, between like the nice Aussie larrikin and the sort of like very deranged,
The crazy
strange
serial killer.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The look he gives Ben, the long,
Yes.
prolonged,
Well,
sustained,
Yeah, I think, and up until this movie, I was really on board. I just
Yeah.
want to let everyone know. I was like, this is really interesting.
There's no violence.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the conversation that Ben has around the campfire, because Mick tells them he's a hunter.
Yep.
He very graphically sort of describes how he kills pigs or boars. And I think Ben says something like, oh, poor thing, and
Poor little piggy.
Mick's just sort of like, he can't really get behind that.
No.
And he does not like Ben. And Ben is sort of talking about like, oh, you must have so much freedom, you must feel so free just driving around, and Mick is really off-put by that. Why do you think that is? I found that really interesting.
Yeah, Ben's from Sydney.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's like this city
Puff
boy.
the city?
Yeah,
Oh,
the capital,
yeah.
Puff the capital of Australia.
Puff the capital of
Makes
Australia.
sense.
That's the thing he says
Yeah.
that puts Ben off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are two wolves
But I've
from
not
different
been-
worlds staring each other down to protect or devour
Yeah.
the females.
Mick's never leaving Wolf Creek.
Oh, no.
No. But yeah, the idea of this city guy sort of talking about how free it must feel. I loved that interaction.
Yeah.
And Mick's face is terrifying. He's just got this blank look of just
And he holds it.
like he's like, I'm gonna kill you.
And you see Ben.
Oh well, he does say that. He literally says that. Ben's like, well, what do you do? Like, what do you do out here? What's your job? You
Serial
know?
killer.
And he's like, well, I tell you.
And
I'd
kill
kill
you.
Yeah. And all the girls are like, very strange. And then he sort of goes fix the car.
Yeah.
And
Fix the car.
fix the car.
If you're thinking that this is unbelievable or outlandish, at the start of every Wolf Creek whatever, there is 30,000 people go missing in Australia each year in the outback in the middle of Australia. 90% of them are found within a month, and the rest are never seen again. And this happens to this
Is
day.
that a true
Yep.
statistic?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
It's probably the only true thing in the whole film.
Yeah,
but yeah.
pretty much.
yeah. The Australian outback is
It's a killer.
Yeah, it's colour. And that's important to mention, if I may, that yes, the Australian Outback, as we've discovered throughout this series, in all Australian horror movies, the Outback is a character, and it is not nice to the human characters involved.
No. It's the Australian Gothic,
absolutely,
sort of thing.
Absolutely, and this is another one. You could classify this as Australian Gothic. How much the landscape is a canvas.
I would agree.
And we have to just reiterating, like, between all of this, we are getting these landscape shots of wildlife,
and the
of the sunset.
Oh,
is it up there? I tried to see.
No, I didn't put the cinematographer up.
Just to mention it, because it is really good. The cinematography is
it's
really,
beautiful.
really good. Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah. What they do with the sun, basically, the sunsets, etc., etc. It's really the natural use of natural light.
Cinematographer is Will Gibson. So Will Gibson, also known for Rogue, which I enjoy, Macbeth, Evil Angels, the Azaria Chamberlain filmumentary, whatever you want to call it, reimagining
of Macbeth.
No, Evil Angels, the Azaria Chamberlain. He did also do the 2006 Macbeth, which had...
Is that the black one? No.
No. This had...
that was 84.
This looks like it's a gritty modern reimagining with guns.
Oh, okay.
Set in the ganglands of Melbourne.
Oh, that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah,
I can't lie. That sounds great.
But
I might put that on the list. Yeah.
So he did Rogue, which is the crocodile film
with John Jarratt.
With John Jarratt is in it.
We might have to do that.
Look, I was going to suggest as one of mine.
I love a big croc.
2007. Oh, such a good movie too. All right, so Rogue.
Let's just switch movie halfway, I reckon.
So Will Gibson. Okay, so Rogue, Wolf Creek. There was something else. I can't remember what it was. Or Evil Angels. He worked on that. No, okay. Not a lot.
Okay, cool. Just want to shout out.
18 titles. But yeah, no, amazing.
Yeah.
Stop saying amazing.
It's a good word. It's useful.
Use it too much.
What do we think about Mick being introduced so late into the film?
He's deceased.
Oh.
2007.
Oh, like 2 years after this.
Oh, shizer. 2 years. Okay.
Died not long after making Rogue.
Oh.
Well,
that's sad.
Good stuff on the
Wasn't
shelf
killed
of
by
life,
Mick Taylor.
Yeah. Mick being introduced so late in the film.
Yeah, what do we think?
Perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's my style of... This is a mystery. There's a mystery at the heart of this film, and I love mystery horror.
Yeah.
I love slow burns. I love things being introduced late, and this big good build-up to it, which there absolutely is.
40 minutes into the film, you're like, it could still be aliens.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's like, obviously...
Totally.
Could be werewolves.
A lot of people going into this movie probably know what it's about.
Well, the trailer's pretty clear that it's a slasher.
I haven't seen the trailer actually.
Okay.
And that's why it was such a pleasant surprise rewatching it. It's not a balls to the wall slasher at all.
No. And I think, and I'm grateful for that. I think Mick coming in so late is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it would be a slog if he comes in earlier, and it's what happens at the last 40 minutes.
If you bring him in at the start, you'd have to have a second set of killings.
Yeah.
You cut backwards and forwards.
That's what they do in the second movie.
Yeah. I've only seen it bits and pieces.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I probably should watch it from start to finish, just because it is Wolf Creek. But yeah, so that's what they do in the second one? Okay.
From what I remember.
Yeah.
Again, I was like...
I'm going to watch it
17.
tonight. I'm going to watch it tonight, the second one. Because I paid for it on YouTube last night.
There you
I fell
go.
asleep, so yeah. We will cover it. We will cover it.
Talking about falling asleep, that's what these characters do.
Yeah.
Why are they all so sleepy? Because they have been drugged.
Drugged in the water, yeah.
I didn't even clock that until my housemate said it. I was like, oh, of course they've been drugged.
The first time I watched it, when she wakes up zip-tied in the shed that she's in Australia is called a donga, by the way, for the international folks.
There you go.
Donga. Which is also euphemism for a penis. But when she wakes up, I remember watching the first time going, the fuck? have we missed the whole reel of the film? Because I saw it at the cinema. Have we missed the whole reel? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, normally you would make the text and you would see all that sort of thing. And then obviously it becomes more apparent later on that it's like, oh, he's drugged them.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen that bit.
No.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we have, but it's
yeah.
sneaky.
And also, just lastly, with leaving Mick so late, being a fan of violence in horror movies, it made it far more effective at the end, rather than just seeing it like Art the Clown until we get to the end. You know what I mean? Yeah. I love Art, don't get me wrong, different films, but you know what I mean. It would have turned into a parody of Mick and Wolf Creek.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta watch the second one.
And the characters, we get more time with them, and I think that's important as well. And it makes it even more tragic and horrific because we've spent time with these characters. We want them to get home to England.
Yeah, and it creates a distance because they are so close between them and Mick as well.
Yeah.
And with that distance, that separation, we can look at them more, we can look at Mick more, and then we can realise the way that we've looked at foreigners and how foreigners have looked at us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of, that exploration of, the tension between us and them is played out much better, allowing the characters to get to know each other, we get to know them.
Yep.
We see Mick, there's foreshadowing, the build up, and then at the end, boom. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, this is where we get to the pointy end.
Yes.
About 50 minutes into the film.
We don't need to go step by step, detailed or anything.
The rough end of the pineapple.
Yeah.
The wrong way by Ben being like,
so we find out later in the film that he has put Ben in a cruciform position down a mine shaft, and there are other bodies in the mine shaft.
Yes, which again explored more in the second film.
Yes, it is
the
very
mine
much.
shaft.
Yes.
So Ben is not in it really at all until the very end. Yeah.
And Ben becomes the final girl.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Even to a tabloid degree.
Yeah. So let's just discuss the end of the film.
Yeah, because so just to lead up to that, what happens to the girls?
So
in terms of getting away.
So Liz starts a fire in the car that they came there, cause an explosion using a gas lamp. In the fire that has not been put out. Mick runs to see what the commotion is. Liz goes in, tries to get her friend free.
Doesn't have enough time.
Mick comes back in. She shoots him in the neck with his own gun. But there's only one bolt in there. He says I only put one in there. She hasn't done enough damage to kill him. And then this is a very contentious part of the film, apparently. So Christy says, "Kill him." And she doesn't. She just sort of whacks him on the back with the gun.
Yeah.
I
stood up and yelled at the screen.
Yeah.
He's not dead. Tie him up at least.
Yeah.
Had anything been revealed about Lizzie's character that would justify?
No.
I don't like to hurt animals. I'm a vegan. I don't like violence, etc., etc.
No.
Okay, that is.
I think it's sheer panic.
Yeah.
There is panic.
I don't think it's completely unfeasible.
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible to judge people in this situation.
Exactly.
Because what the F would you do?
Yeah, that's what I'm in the mind of. I'm like these they are tourists, first of all. Like, they don't
Mick's
know anything.
huge. Mick's a big
He's a big
fucking
unit.
guy.
They're probably from London. They're not like, they're probably not
Yeah, they're
from
city
like
people, yeah.
the outskirts of
Yeah, they're not from
England.
Chichester.
Yeah,
Yeah.
finding their handbag after
Worcestershire.
the lost
Yeah.
at the club after Molly is their biggest
sure.
kind of drama.
Yeah, like they're like
You can
going
tell.
around. Yeah.
You can tell that they've never played Dungeons and Dragons in their life because they're never dead. Take the head. Is what I live by in that sort of situation. Like if I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons and we've knocked someone out that's gonna kill the world or whatever, it's like no, you chop their head off with an axe before you cut the person down that's tied on the side of the wall, unless they're in immediate danger of dying. So Christy was not in immediate danger of dying.
Yeah.
So she should have taken care of Mick. This would have been a very short film.
Yeah, would have.
Yeah, exactly. It's a thing. It's
That's
like,
the thing.
I feel like that happens a lot in this film. I know my housemate was particularly angry at Liz for going through the camera footage when she should have just been getting in the car and bolting.
Yeah, but that's also
Fair enough.
we need the exposition.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was like,
where are we
not,
gonna put that in?
that's not for her.
Yeah.
That is
It's
for
for
us.
us. It's for us.
That is for us. We
And-
need to see that he's been following them. We need to know there are other families.
I
Yeah,
That's
so prefer that rather than blah 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 blah. blah.
exactly.
yeah,
I don't want Mick to tell us. That would be
No.
boring, and it would
Yeah.
take away the sort of mystery of his character.
But he waits for her to start the car. He
So
waits
scary.
until she's got hope, and then he stabs her through the door.
Very good.
It's
Yes,
brutal.
and that's why he likes to take his time because he
Yeah.
likes them to believe that they can get away, that there is hope, and
The shot of his face just out of shadow in the window with that laugh, sent shivers down.
That
my
is like
spine.
that is a good jump scare.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why he takes time because this is how he does it.
I'm like,
that's
how did he
that's
get
why
in?
he's good at it.
When did he
Yeah.
get back? It's so scary.
Yeah.
The girls have split
Well,
up.
that's there's always the hinting of the supernatural element of Mick, like Jason in Friday the
Yeah.
13th. He
Yeah.
appears like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Michael Myers walks slowly or never stopping. Jason appears, boom, he's there. Next minute, he's there.
He's there over the
Yeah,
other side.
yeah. Just like a kind of playing off.
Yeah.
So they almost, before this point, they've almost got away. They steal Mick's truck. They drive off after Mick shoots at them with a double-barrel shotgun. And then
Very
the
strange.
smart thing that they did, the thing that I loved that they did, but then they messed up the landing, was pushing the truck over the edge of that cliff. And they should have just taken off.
Yeah.
They didn't need to climb down the cliff a little bit. They should have just gone because then they could have been further away from Mick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
And,
was right though. They were in the middle of nowhere. Where are they
Yeah.
going to get without a car?
And with all of this isn't us sitting here going, stupid decision,
No.
stupid people.
Yeah.
We like these people.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
rooting for them.
Yeah.
No, go that way.
Yeah,
You can get away quicker that
I
way.
want you to survive.
Yeah, yeah,
I think the
yeah.
part where they part ways and Christy is like, please don't leave me.
Please don't
He's
leave me
going
here.
to find me again.
Yeah.
He's going to find me and he's going to take me again.
Never split up white people.
Yeah.
It
I
was,
made that note.
There's a movie, I don't know if you've seen it, because we did Scary Movie for the Horror Iceberg recently as a
yeah.
kind of a relief, yeah?
Yes.
And there's a new one coming called The Blackening. It might be already.
I've seen that.
yeah.
How is it? Is it
It's-
good?
I haven't
It's
seen
fun.
it, but I've seen the
I
trailer.
want to see it because
Yeah.
there is that one moment they're playing around with white people horror tropes.
Yes.
Don't say it. We need to split up. Oh.
Yeah. No, it was a fun movie.
Yeah, after Scary
Yeah.
Movie, I want to see it because that's another basically 20 years since there's been
Yeah.
black people taking the piss out of white people in horror
Yeah,
movies.
yeah.
Movie. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
some really fun moments.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Precipice, Mr. X, you need to run, you need to hide. Here's Ben. There's a very brief shot of Ben, so we know he's alive at this point.
Oh.
You can just
And
basically
it's
see the
yeah.
side of his face and like him drooling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Lots of cars, he's been very successful. The drugs are in the water. He was stalking them. Finally, a car, stabbed.
This scene is awful. This is. I'll tell you the ones that I fast forwarded through. The Christie sort of sexual assault.
Yep, that's fair.
Fast forwarded through that.
And it goes on a bit too long as well.
Yeah, and the head on a stick.
Oh yeah, that was
I
another.
did fast forward through.
No,
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. I love that
Fair,
line.
fair.
I do like the line.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to see how it happened. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I know that she's gonna become a head on a
He's
stick.
going to do something with her spine.
Yeah,
Great.
and it's awful. Yeah.
He does do the call back to the Mick Dundee line at
Oh,
that
he
point
does
as
say
well.
because she has Ben's Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife, yeah.
That was fun.
That's not a knife. This
This
is
is
a
a
knife.
knife.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
You fast forwarded.
Yes.
What have you ever fast forwarded through? I will tell mine. It is the turtle eating scene in Cannibal Holocaust.
Ooh.
The second viewing, no, I wasn't sitting through that again. You'd hate it.
What have I fast forward? I don't think I have.
Yeah, but no? Okay. That's the only time I've ever fast forwarded anything. Because I did it for an old podcast and it's like, oh, I don't need to sit here for another 15 minutes while I eat a live turtle.
I haven't.
Real?
Yeah.
I haven't fast forwarded something because of the nature of the ick of the film. I have fast forwarded through films that I wanted to say I'd seen but were awful.
Yeah. Yeah, I got
Sure,
So-
sure. Yeah, I've
For
got
sure.
a few of those.
For example, and I'm going to look right into the camera and say it, Amityville in Space,
that kind of awful.
do better.
That kind of awful
I
shit.
feel like if you watch a movie called Amityville in Space, you should be prepared
I
for
never
what
knew
you're
that
in
franchise
for.
went to space.
Oh, no, it's not related to
It's not the house?
Oh, no, it is, but it's because it's public domain or something now.
That's
Okay.
so funny.
Now, I love Amityville.
Oh,
Like, I have the novel.
That's a gap. I've never seen the original.
Oh,
That's one I
it's
need to
really
see.
good. The
I've
book-
only seen the one with.
That's the
that's the remake.
later on one,
The books even-
I need
the
to see
books
the
even
70s
worse.
stuff, but yeah, I
Actually,
really do.
while we're on that subject,
Because that's all
and
Annabelle and shit. And
while
it's
you're
kind of-
reminding me,
Yeah.
I ordered one of these and got 3.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
And I figured you guys might
Yes.
like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
This is a piece of the Amityville house. I
Really?
ordered one of these and I got 3.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
They deserve to fuck.
Yeah.
What? That is so
That is
cool.
so cool, Scott.
Mm.
Where did you get them?
Off the internet. It was a
Wow.
like a
That is.
what do you call it? An auction site. So yeah, I ordered and I sent them an email saying you sent me 3 and they went, we don't care.
Are you giving one to me?
Yeah, they're yours.
That's so sick. What?
And
Wow.
it wasn't
There you
expensive.
go. Well, now
Oh,
I feel
that's
like I
cool,
need
thank
to
you.
invest
Yeah.
in finding
So-
out everything I can about.
So I love the
I
Amityville.
must. Okay.
I love
I haven't
Amityville.
seen the
But the
original.
Amityville in Space is basically, I think they've just taken the name. It's
Audible.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Do you know what audible means? It means it's an American term for sports where you make a gameplay switch decision.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm calling it audible.
Okay.
We're doing the Amityville horror next week.
Okay,
We're
great.
going to take a break from the
Okay.
Australian
Yeah.
stuff. I would like
Alright.
to take a
I'll
break.
watch anything, yeah.
And
Yeah.
since we've just had this lovely moment once
Yeah.
this year,
Yes.
let's do the
yes.
Amityville horror.
Thank you so much.
It's a piece of window casing.
Fantastic. Ooh. Yeah, cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Also, the pirate queen has said, "Get this cursed shit out of my house." So yeah,
So fair. So fair. Yeah, 3 is bad
Yeah.
juju.
it's when they renovated the house, like they
Yeah, I know what you mean,
people
yeah,
kept
I know what you mean.
bits and cut it up and sold it.
People
So
live in that house.
Oh, okay, I'm doing it. We'll do
it's
a bit
been
of study.
recently resold.
I'll bring the basic story of Amityville next week.
Okay.
Yeah, the history of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Alright.
and the Warrens.
I
I
know.
should
I
watch
do
it
know
again.
some.
I should
watch it
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've done a lot of the Warrens with the Insidious and the Conjurings, and so yeah, that will make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, brilliant. Where are we up to?
Wolf Creek.
Wolf
Oh, we were talking about things we fast forwarded through.
Yes.
I was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
say, because we watched that other Australian horror movie, the one about the teen girl
Oh, Loved
killing
Ones.
the loved ones.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That movie I found, obviously that movie's very violent.
Yeah.
I didn't find that as hard of a watch
Ah.
as this.
Okay.
Even though those scenes are very brutal, it felt like, and it's so tragic, the main character, what's happening to him as
Yeah.
well, and like his performance is so good that it really but this for me was,
Well, it's
was the thing.
yeah. It's violence towards females, sexual
Yeah.
violence towards
and
females.
and
so
it's
fair enough.
and obviously,
There's no argument.
yeah. I'm just saying it's like I can do violence,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it
yeah,
just
yeah.
depends. It depends.
Sure.
I feel like there's a very fine thing there. I know I don't have to defend
No, you don't.
myself, but
No,
I'm
not
just
whatsoever.
putting that out there into
Yeah.
the ether.
Which makes the pod
different
interesting.
kinds
Yeah, with
of-
all 5 of us, we've got whole different
Yeah,
perspectives,
yeah.
Yeah.
which is great. Yeah.
Yes.
Bat, come back, we miss you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it is just. Well, let's talk about the head on the stick moment. What does that mean? What happens there?
Well, okay. So
'Cause
basically,
fast forward it.
Mick is torturing Liz.
Yes.
It's Liz at this point.
Yes.
Yes. But he's still got to go and find Kirsty. Christy.
Christy.
We've still got to find Christy. So I think what he wants to do is incapacitate Liz. She's proved to be resourceful, so he needs to incapacitate her in a way that she can't escape from. So he stabs her in the spine, while telling a lovely story about the time when he was in Vietnam, and this is what the Viet Cong used to do to people, and they call it head on a stick.
Yeah, that's it.
Where if I stab you here, you just become a head on a stick.
Yeah. Overseas, yes, we were drafted to go to Vietnam once upon a time. None of us.
No.
My dad went bush. He said no. One of the few things I'll give him. Yeah.
Sure.
Same like Muhammad Ali. No, not like at all. But so Mick went to Vietnam then. Yes.
That's the implication.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where he would have got a taste for violence. I would say that
he would have been one of the guys with the necklace of ears.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, he thought, oh, I like this.
Yeah. How can I bring this home?
Yeah. Against foreigners.
Yeah.
Again, there you go.
Yeah.
He's this very xenophobic, racist, sex. Like
that's
he's just
the theme of this movie.
He has that line where he says I always wear a rubber. With you girls.
Because you can't tell where you've been.
Because you don't know where you've been.
Yeah.
So that's like they plant those seeds throughout this really insidious, really just. Ooh.
Yeah.
So then Liz is out of the picture.
Yep.
Christy is on her own.
Yep.
She's trying to escape. She's decided
She
Liz
does
is
the
not.
right thing at that point.
She does. She leaves. She's like, I'm not waiting. It's been longer than 5 minutes. The 5 minutes that Liz promised.
Yeah.
And we get the classic like Wolf Creek poster of her on the road.
Yep.
And a car comes.
Yeah, and is it Mick?
It's
not Mick.
It's not Mick.
Yay!
It's a nice man.
She's gonna be
going
saved.
to help.
Texas Chainsaw.
And then we have that beautiful like bullet through the thermos.
Oh, I love
which
the bullet through the
like.
thermos.
I really like that. And that is Mick. I love that like double bluff of like, oh, is it going to be? Oh no, he's not in the car. Oh, but he is there.
Yeah, I think I put what do we go? Yay, a car. It's not Mick. Yay, he's nearby though. Good shot.
Man's dead.
Yeah.
She's not getting away. Everyone takes their keys out of their cars.
I made that so no, it's like no one takes their keys out of the car.
Not in the country.
No.
Either.
No.
Like no one's gonna steal your car.
No.
So like why? I don't know why. I guess he was unlocking the back of his car. To be fair. So that's.
Yeah.
And I was
okay.
like, oh, so inconvenient for Christy.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't like it though.
And she sort of gets a bit of a. They have that wonderful chase scene where
the car chase.
Mick is pulling the faces, and you're like, this guy's a freak.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
really
he's
is,
just sticking his tongue out and stuff. Like
He's having the best time.
Best time. Oh, yes.
It's all about.
John Jarrett chews the scenery.
Yes.
Devours it like he's a very hungry man who's been out bush for 2 weeks without proper tucker.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, the thrill, this little like tagline on Letterboxd is the thrill is in the hunt.
Yeah.
So that's very much the vibe
definitely.
that we get.
Yeah.
He shoots Tyre.
Yes.
Because she runs him off the road. She's laughing. He shoots one of her tires. She spins out.
Yep. Flips over and
Gets out of the car and she shoots her.
He just kills her.
He just kills her, and I was like, honestly, probably best scenario for her.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
It felt like a mercy killing, which was great. I was like, why did he? And he was like, I guess he has someone else.
He has
two bodies at home.
And Ben to take care of.
Mick's very efficient as well. He's quite professional at this.
Yeah, he's not getting caught, right? He sets the car on fire, he removes the evidence, he takes the bodies with him.
Yeah.
He's done this a lot.
Yes. As far as we know at film 1.
Yes.
We will go into let's do all of it at some point throughout the pod's history. We'll cover it all, because we have to. It's the biggest horror Australia has. Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
And then
we get on to Ben.
Yeah, Ben at the end. What happens again with the news stuff?
So with the news stuff.
Yeah.
So Ben escapes.
Yep.
And he.
So we don't see Liz again.
No, we don't see Liz again. Chrissy's out of the picture. Ben is crucified. He pulls himself off to escape. And
That's
then
very Australian horror as well,
Yeah.
actually. We've noticed. Yeah, it is,
The,
isn't it? Yeah.
the beautiful moment in the film where there's the nail or whatever it is through his wrist, and they move the prop wrist, and the blood wells up over the nail. It looked like a real arm.
It looks really realistic, yeah.
It's a beautiful piece of work.
Mm-hmm. Cool, lovely.
And he gets found by a family, and
Yeah.
they have this wonderful silhouette shot of the silhouette of the
hat.
hat.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh god, but it's not Mick. It's just someone passing through. They pick him up.
But
They
they're
take
wearing
him
a
to
hat.
the he's wearing a hat. They take him to the hospital, and then I guess the implication is that Ben tries to sort of investigate, and there's this sort of, we find out the story of like, oh, he tried, but the police investigation was
No doubt someone went, well, the two girls left Broome with you.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's what it says. He was held in custody, but then he was found
Yeah.
not guilty
Because of lack of evidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the last shot Ben's face? You know,
Yes.
handcuffs, and then the look towards the camera, straight at camera. I think.
Yeah,
is
and
the last shot.
then we get the sort of like story.
Yeah, the new stuff. Yeah.
And then we get Mick walking off into the sunset.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the last shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ghost.
I think I was like, why does he get to survive?
Well, I think this is the perfect
Yeah.
time then to bring up the hinted at supernatural elements to this film and to the character.
Yeah, which I didn't really
Entity
pick up on.
of
So
Mick Taylor.
Yeah.
Because this is my question. Yeah. So when they're at the canyon, they're talking about the stars. Yes, he does tell this story. Ben, tells that story, but it really, because I think the overarching kind of message with that is that this part of Australia has had contact with aliens. It's had third contact at some point in its history, yes. And this movie, the major theme is xenophobia.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it's rooted in Australia's history, yeah, and Australia's history, like we've talked about the landscape being a character, this is a very ancient land, it's hinted at some sort of alien interaction.
Mick Taylor's a Klingon.
The one issue I found with this film for me is it speaking out against xenophobia, saying that yes, we can change, or is this too deeply rooted in the land, our history, even in the flippin' stars? Yeah, because it's suggesting that we can't escape this, that Mick is forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this part of Australia will be forever. Yeah. And that's what I read from it, and I was saying, is this the message you want to put across?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's what they intended, but that's how I read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then Mick walking off into the sunset. It's part of that. He's just basically disappeared into the sunset until it chooses to appear again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting reading of it, the sort of connection between aliens and xenophobia and like.
Because that's what I did notice the first time, but they spent a lot of time at that canyon.
And
a lot of time looking up at the
she also
stars.
has that
He
line.
appears like this, like that. Once that has all been done,
She says, "Why did the meteor hit here? It could have hit anywhere. Why did it hit here?"
Yeah.
I found that line really struck me as like sort of out of place, but like with that reading, that's really interesting. But I get what you're saying, that you don't really want the final thing of that being.
I mean, you
messed
could
up.
say that, making the message that strong and making it so inescapable our state of being. Greg Mclean could have been saying, "This is really bad, guys.
So he also
it's like a
we need to do something about this. It's basically ingrained in us now."
No, that's true.
Yeah.
So he also wrote the film.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
he
Yeah.
did.
He did write the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, and Ben makes a couple of Star Trek and Star Wars jokes throughout.
It does. No forms of
Yeah.
Intelligent
So
life.
it is an element of the film.
Yeah,
I think
for
it's
sure.
definitely an element of
That's
the
very
film.
fascinating.
Yeah.
That like adds
It
a
does.
lot more
It does.
shade
This
to it.
This is not a typical slasher.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call this a slasher.
So is Mick Taylor being
this
influenced?
first film. Sorry.
Is Mick Taylor being influenced by some sort of spirit or energy from the area?
I think it's suggested at.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely hinted at.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we won't break out of that unless Greg was saying that it's so problematic it seems like there's no escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Mick Taylor, and that here's a strong image of Australia. As soon as you look at Mick, Yeah, if you didn't know, only knew a little bit about Australia, that sort of thing. As soon as you didn't know anything outside of Wolf Creek, had 2 minutes watching Mick. He's from Australia, isn't he?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Wouldn't say anywhere else in the world.
No, it's true.
Not proud of it. Not proud of it.
Yeah, well, I've got a question for you guys.
Please.
Something
Sure.
I found an interesting thing of this film. How do we feel about true crime, like movies, and just
Sure.
like in general about making true?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I feel like it's a
No,
big
that's good,
one.
that's
It's
good.
a big one, but something I've been thinking a lot about recently, and I'm just interested.
It depends on the crime, I think.
For sure.
Like serial killings are always a favourite. Like I love watching a good documentary about an actual serial killer.
Yeah, I've watched a lot in my time, for sure.
I find humanity scary in the extreme, and Mick Taylor is the extreme. And like the fact that they couch this in terms that this was a real, this is actually
Yeah,
happened.
and obviously it's been extrapolated a lot. Yeah.
I like them. I think it's great. I think covering the film in that blanket of the true crime, I think gives it that little bit more of an edge of, well, if this could actually happen, then that's scary.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So the question is, like, given this a true crime veneer,
Yeah.
is that, do I like it? Is it
Yeah,
effective?
yeah.
Yeah, definitely gives it more of an edge. Makes it seem more scary because it could actually happen, because things like this actually have happened.
Yeah.
But it does, because I do like the mystery and the supernatural element, as problematic as it is, because it makes for a very intriguing watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the true crime, if it hadn't had that, there could be less problematic issues with Mick having supernatural elements or supernatural suggestion. So I would say I am ambivalent, if I can be that wishy-washy, negative, positive with it. Yeah, okay.
Sure, yeah.
Cool,
Yeah,
cool.
interesting. I don't know, I just think, like, obviously I feel like a lot of discussion recently about, like, can you fictionalize, like, big true crime things that happen?
Because we actually haven't done a true crime.
Yeah,
movie.
I
I
feel
guess
like
this is probably the first one.
But like, it is so, like, different. The movie sort of has its own story, which is completely made up. Like, this absolutely happened to backpackers and tourists, like, at the hands of Ivan Milat.
The TV show gets a bit much more Milat.
Yeah, right.
I
And
should
this,
watch the TV show.
Yeah, these characters, like, I don't think any of the names are
No, I don't
their
think
real
so.
names.
No,
like, that would be
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
very, very dubious.
I'm very on the nose.
Yeah. So I just think it's interesting. It creates its own story under the guise of this, like, based
Absolutely. They have a true crime and horror, cousins.
on I mean,
easily.
talking about Amityville.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
true.
Yeah, because then you get taught, all that stuff. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, just very interesting. This is a good movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot to this movie. Yeah.
A lot more than it promises.
Yeah, than it makes out to be.
Yes. Do we want to rate it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'll go first. I'm going to give this a solid 3.5. It's close to a 4.
Why not a 4? Because I'm also calibrating my head while you do this.
Why not a 4? No, you know what? It's a 4. No, I'm going to give it a 4. Like, okay, so the makeup, effects, the location, the cinematography, the performances, it's a 4. It's a 4.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think it's very effective. This is my type of horror film in terms of the mystery, the slow burn, the build-up, and the extremity at the end. Yes, absolutely, really effective, really well done, and everyone was really good. Mick, I think, Jarrett is incredible in this, actually.
I think maybe I was going to give it a 3.5 because of the sexual assault and the head on a stick. But they really add to the monstrousness of Mick Taylor, so it's a 4.
And every horror needs monsters, and he is a monster, absolutely, but he's a monster with depth, relevance, and
Dimension.
do I want to give it a 4.5? Because I actually really do like it.
You only gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd.
I give it a 3. Yeah.
So.
No, let's
Sorry,
talk
I was
about. Yeah, no, you're right. I
review.
need to keep consistent, but my
No,
opinion has improved.
Yeah.
Talking about this as it does, so I gave it a 3. I'm going to give it a 4. I'm not going to jump to a 4.5.
I'm not going to
That's
hold
too
you to
crazy.
your Letterboxd reviews.
Letterboxd is also
I've given
log.
Yeah. No one look at my reviews on that.
But no, yeah, seriously, a 4. Yes.
Okay.
And what say you, Scream Queen?
Oh, this is so hard. I think I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
Okay.
Just because I don't think I would watch it again. But I do. I'm finding your experience of the films very compelling, and I do like your reading of it. I think that's something I didn't even consider. But I do. Something that's been on my mind a lot recently is like violence against women, especially sexual assault against women in horror films, and where is that place? And obviously he's a monster, and it's never said otherwise, but not my piece of pie.
Sure.
So I'm
So
going to give
good.
it a 2.5.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Understandable.
We watched Pink Flamingos. Yeah, like punk rock trash masterpiece.
Yeah, John Waters.
I would have given it a 4
Okay.
for cultural relevance and the importance of the film. Yeah, but then there is a scene where a chicken is fucked to death, literally.
A live chicken.
A live chicken, and I
And it
can't
was done
give
on
it a 4
screen, it was
because
done.
of that. So I too have my lines and
yeah,
such. So
yeah.
there you
It
go.
wasn't
Yeah.
cheated.
And I told you about the turtle and Cannibal Holocaust. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was just surprised by it because I was so unfazed as a teenager when I watched this film. So,
I think the first time I watched this, I probably would have only given it a 2.5, because it would have seemed just like a slasher that was a bit slow to begin.
yeah.
Why did we think that for all these years?
Well, it was very
Just
much
the marketing,
it was
its
unlike-
lore.
It is definitely marketed like
Yeah,
that.
It's just become iconically a slasher.
But it was also unlike the other slashers at the time. Like, you didn't get the cold open with the kill before the credits. You didn't get the killer from the start.
Yeah.
You didn't get the set pieces that we are conditioned to expect.
I feel like a lot of, again, I keep saying, all these people online, these magical people online, a lot of them really hated the slow burn, from what I can tell.
Yeah, well, that's...
A lot of they're like, oh, it starts so late in the movie, it's only so late into the movie. That's like the best part.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
I
It
feel
really
like it's
is.
most interesting.
Yeah.
I did write in my notes, it almost feels like 2 movies in one. One that I want to
Sure.
watch, and one
Yeah,
that I
sure. No, that's cool.
So that's my official, my 2.5 review.
I mean, it almost has a full metal jacket splashed right down the middle to it. Yeah.
The Dusk Till Dawn switch, where it goes
Dusk
from a
Till
crime
Dawn
film to a
switch,
vampire film.
Yeah.
I don't mind the switch.
Yeah,
No, I
but,
love the switch.
yeah.
I love the switch, definitely.
I think-
That's why the part 2, when it was all that first 40 minutes compressed within 10 minutes of what is happening here. I've seen Mick 5 times
I need to
already.
watch it again. I need to
I'm
watch it
concerned.
from
I
beginning.
think they just saw that people loved John Jarrett in that role so much.
Yeah,
that
and
they
it
were
made a
like,
lot of
"We gotta
money.
have it more."
We've got to have more of him in the
Let's get it more
film.
formulaic.
Having met John, it's also possible that he said, everyone loves my bits in the first film, I need to be in the second one more.
Real.
And that's not from that's not him being stroking his ego.
No.
It's probably him going, well, the bits of the story that people liked were the bits that I was in, so we need to have more of me. Now, for anyone out there that does get to meet John Jarrett, he's a lovely guy. He's very positive about the Australian film industry. He's very negative on pirating. He was also not on Play School.
His wife? What?
Noni Hazelhurst was on Play School. John Jarrett was not on Play School. If you ever want to get a mouthful of verbal abuse from a star in public, walk up to him and tell him that you liked him on Play School. He will not be backward about F-bombing and C-bombing you if you say that to him in a public setting. So don't
Are you
do
saying
it.
this from personal
But
experience?
no, I didn't say it to him because I knew he wasn't on Play School.
Yeah.
But there were people, like the very first time I did his panel on Supernova, one of the things that I said to people as I entered the stage, like we do housekeeping at the start, we enter the exits are over there, if you do, the alarm goes off, go and do that thing, follow me out the door, all that sort of stuff. And one of the things that I did for John's panel, I pointed because he's on my screen over there, one of the things that I said was, look, folks, I know you probably think it's funny, but John doesn't. He wasn't on Play School. If you've got questions about Play School, don't ask him. You won't like the response. And I could see him backstage going. Because I'd done a previous panel for him where he'd come on to someone else's panel just as a past guest, and he'd sworn. And this was in a kids panel, so I'd have to go, hey John, just be aware this is a PG panel here. So he was calling me the fun police at that point. So I said, look, I'm coming out just to be the fun police. I know you're going to think you're edgy and you're going to ask him a question about Play School, but he wasn't on it. Don't ask him because you won't like the answer.
It's an interesting chap. When I was watching that interview, when they were coming back for the TV show, and he was saying that it's simply like going back on the bike and riding again. Yeah. And they announced him, do you find Mick horrific? And he goes, not until I saw him.
Yeah.
Because then I come along, I do my thing, and it's not until I watch the playback or the finished film,
Yep.
and I go, oh, he is a lot, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't know what it means, but it's just that's how he works. Yeah. I
like him. I think he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to meet him one day, absolutely, because he's a legend. He's been going before Picnic at Hanging Rock, but that's another classic Australian Gothic film. And
he was in that.
Young, yeah. Have you ever seen him as a young man, Sarah? Have you ever seen him?
Yeah.
You know Nathan Fillion from Stargate?
Yeah. Okay.
He looks like him when John Jarrett
he
looks
was
a hell of a lot like him.
handsome
Like
man.
gorgeous
Very
man when he was young.
I-
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Mick, handsome.
I mean, I wouldn't go there, John, but that's just me.
Yeah. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
He's taken.
Yeah. Yes. But lovely guy. If you're going to Supernova and he's there, go and see his panel.
He's one of our more interesting actors in this country.
It's great.
By a long shot, in my opinion.
He loves the performing arts. He loves the film industry. He's a big proponent for all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're lucky to have him.
Oh
Definitely
yeah,
lucky to have
for
him,
sure.
Yeah. And he gave us iconic horror. Yeah, he put us on the world on the horror stage.
Really did.
Absolutely.
Now, if people are interested, you can get this on Stan, which is the Australian streaming service, Prime Video Store, Apple, Google TV, and YouTube.
Yeah, or even by physical, because that's all going away.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Any final thoughts?
Not with Wolf Creek. No.
No.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it.
But
We'll
yeah,
come back.
no, it's good.
We'll do the
Good
second
choice.
one, we'll do the TV series as we go.
Yeah, good choice.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
And the third we will when it drops. It's coming at some point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it will be before,
For sure.
sometime before 2030 it's going to happen. Yeah, no, it's in production or
Wow.
pre-production, but no, it's a thing. It's greenlit.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's going to be... Oof.
Wolf Creek 3, yeah.
No, it's a thing. It's a
It
definite
certainly
thing.
is.
There you go.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
John Jarrett expects Wolf Creek 3 to come out in early 2025.
Yeah, so let's say
that's-
26. Because we know how this works. So we've seen how
but
that
it's going to
works.
have a different director.
Oh.
Greg
Well, we'll
Mc-
see
Greg-
how that goes, because
yeah.
Greg Mclean has done
Yeah.
Is
all of
Greg still alive?
No,
We're not resting
2000
piecing
Oh, he's
again, are we?
2007.
He died?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
just-
thought you meant the cinematographer.
Oh, hang on.
Greg.
Yeah.
No, that was the
director.
cinematographer.
Yeah,
I was
let's
like,
not
I
kill
think
Greg.
he's
Let's not
alive.
kill
I'm very tired. Sorry.
Alive.
That was the cinematographer. I do apologise. Feel free to cut that piece of the podcast out and just put it out. Evil Popcorn Podcast says that Greg Mclean is dead. Let me just check.
Yeah, he might direct it. Oh, you're the ones who called me dead.
Yeah,
You can't have a role.
So apologetic, Greg, if you are watching and or listening. It does not say he has passed. So that no, Greg must still be alive. So that'll be good.
Cool.
Yeah.
The cinematographer's not with us anymore.
Okay, rest in peace.
Yes.
Do we have Rex? Can we do Rex?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Sure, okay. Right, it's called The Coffee Table. It's a film. It's a Spanish film.
Oh, okay.
It
Pedro
is-
Almodovar.
No, not him. No, this isn't romantic, lovey and
Okay.
sexy. No, not this one. This is about a couple. This is the tensest movie I perhaps have ever seen in my goddamn life.
And you've seen
It's-
you've seen The Well.
It's not a horror film. It doesn't need to be. There's enough in it for it not to be.
Okay.
It doesn't even... Nah, it's beyond all that. There's an inciting incident that happens at about 20 minutes in, and the rest of the film and the character relationships and dynamics
What's it on?
revolve around this, yeah? It's on Shudder.
Okay, great.
Um,
Love that.
and
Sponsor us,
it's
Shudder.
Please.
one of the most tense movies There's the inciting incident is a violent moment, but you don't see the violence.
Okay.
It's what the ramifications of this violent moment are. And my gosh, it's brilliant.
Okay.
It's like 5 out of 5 straight away, no discussion. I've got to stop doing
I do.
that.
I'm like,
Hammer flavor.
yeah.
The other one is Horror's Greatest on Shudder.
Oh yeah, you
TV
said
show,
that,
yeah, that's just started, and they
Must be good to watch.
did one on classic horror tropes and breaking them down historically and socially, why they appear and why they change and what's happening
That's
now.
fascinating. That's
Yeah.
I
great.
like that.
And Jen Wexler, who we've interviewed on for the Sacrifice Game, she's on it. Rebecca McKendry. All sorts of horror legends are on
Yeah,
it, yeah,
nice.
doing their thing,
Okay.
yeah, and talking about horror tropes to start with.
Nice.
Check it out. Baron.
It's not horror again. I've been watching a new TV series called Bad Monkey. There's a crime author from, he's pretty much Florida based. He's called Carl Hayason. I've loved his novels for decades. This is a new TV series called Bad Monkey. It's once again set in Florida. Most of his stuff is set in Florida. He wrote Striptease, the Demi Moore film. But this feels the most like a Carl Hayason novel made to screen. So it's very good. So if you like a bit of a gritty crime thing,
I do.
it's got Vince Vaughn in it.
Okay, yeah.
But it's also got it's very tongue in cheek, and it's very edgy's not the right word. It's colourful.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's colourful. It's set in Florida. Basically, there's a person that's investigating there's a murder or a possible murder. An arm washes up on a beach, and he used to work for the police, but he does kind of work for the police.
Yeah, okay.
I'm really enjoying it.
Cool.
I think 4 episodes of it have come out so far, and I've watched the first.
What's it
3.
on again, sir?
It's Bad Monkey. It is on. Sorry, where did I get it? It was off
You
one of
said
my.
Prime?
It's off one of my apps. Hang on. So many apps.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Bad Monkey. I spotted it on an ad. Or did I get it off one of my? No, it's Apple TV.
Oh, it's Apple.
Apple
okay.
TV.
One of the few I don't have.
Yeah.
If you go to flicks.com.au, which I really like, this is where I
It'll tell
generally
you
find
everything.
stuff.
Yeah.
It is Apple TV only in Australia. Yes.
VPN.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very possibly not available in Australia. Very possibly
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's go
not.
with that. Yes.
Actually, having said that, just as a slight digression, when the movie Weird came out, the Weird Al Yankovic movie, he, because it was already sold to a streaming service, he there's an interview and said, people were saying, where can we find this in Australia? And he looked directly into the camera and said, well, there's very possibly not a way to watch that in Australia. And he was cool with people watching it via VPN because it's already been sold.
Yeah.
So if you've got a VPN and you can get to one of the American streaming services that has it, that's great.
Yeah.
If you get Apple TV, it's part of you don't have to pay extra for it. I've got it because I've got an Apple subscription for YouTube. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. It's lots of fun.
You got your subscription for Apple through YouTube.
What am I saying? I'm tired.
That's okay, because I was about to go. I can do that.
Apple
No,
YouTube.
Okay, yeah, because you need an Apple TV
No.
for the Apple.
No. I've got an app.
It's an app you
It's an
can
app.
use and
And I
cast.
cast to the TV.
Okay.
Why
Because
is
there's
YouTube?
also a box, isn't there, for
Yes,
Apple TV?
there is as well, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. I was conflating two services. I have Apple and I have YouTube.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
But yes.
All right.
What
Well.
about you? Any recommendations?
Yeah. Well, I watched The Thing, which I know everyone else
recommend
has
The
seen.
Thing?
I recommend this very
We all
famous
recommend
horror
The Thing.
movie. But I'm just noting I loved it. It was.
Did
so
you have the
good.
subtitles on?
Yeah, probably yes.
So you would have seen the subtitles at the start from the Norwegians?
I was actually not watching for that part.
Okay.
What?
Because, okay, so at the start of The Thing,
Uh.
the Norwegians are chasing the dog across the ice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they are saying to the Americans, don't go near that, it's a monster, it will kill all of you.
Oh, I did not.
Okay.
If the subtitles are on and it's translated into
I
Norwegian,
haven't.
it ruins the whole
Yeah,
film.
it does. So what about Norway's going?
I don't
Spoilers.
I don't think it had that part in it.
Okay.
I
That's
feel like it was
hilarious.
still...
I've seen a version with them hard coded.
Yeah, okay. It's the best
That's
dog acting I've
hilarious.
ever seen
Oh,
in my
amazing.
life.
Yeah.
Amazing, best practical effects I've
Yeah.
seen. I'd seen the little worm guy before
Yeah.
on like
And
Watch
probably the head
Mojo
on probably
videos.
the head and on the
Yeah,
pincers.
but it was still amazing.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's incredible.
So I recommend this
I enjoyed the
famous film that probably everyone else has seen except me. I also recommend, I've seen it before, but I watched it again recently, so I'm just reading it. Under the Skin by Jonathan Glazer. It is such a brilliant
Anything
movie.
like that you want to bring to the pod,
Okay,
please do.
great.
Yeah,
If that's more your thing, please
I
do. Yeah, because I love that as
that
well.
movie.
That's incredible.
Sort of an art house.
ScarJo.
House. It's Scarlett
It's fucking
Johansson at her
ScarJo,
best.
yeah.
She's
Barely says
say what
a
you
word.
want about her, but she's an incredible
No, she's good. She's good.
actress.
She's very,
and
very
she's so like it's
Lost in translation. I mean, come on.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. Such a great soundtrack. I think it was in my top 5 horror movie
soundtrack's
soundtracks.
great, yeah.
Soundtrack's great. Visuals are great. It's
That's a
such
great
an
recommendation.
interesting story. There's like barely any dialogue, but there's some of the most gut-wrenching scenes I've ever seen in my life. It's so good. Yeah, highly recommend that. All right, well.
Cool. And just
That's
finally, what we're doing next, it's
Yep.
my turn there, children, and we are doing The Proposition. Now, The
Ooh.
Proposition, this is a dark drama. Again, it doesn't need the horror label, it has enough in it. It's set in Queensland, our state, where
Sure.
we are now. Set during colonial times, the
Ooh.
saying
I've
that
not
has
seen
been memed and sampled a lot, "What fresh hell is this?"
Yes.
comes from this movie by Ray Winstone's character.
Yep.
I'm just going to bring up the director because I've entirely forgotten now. It's written by Nick Cave from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. The world knows who that man is.
Yep.
Who's a very good writer. Have you ever read any of his stuff?
No.
Yeah, and As Saw the Angel is one of the best books I've ever read in my goddamn life, and that's by him. And there's another Aussie prison movie called Ghosts of the Civil Dead, which is basically down, I think it might be Perth, Western Australia, middle of nowhere or down south. Basically about men in prison completely isolated from the rest of society. It's a maximum security prison and they go
They
nuts.
filmed that at the prison that I visited when we were over in Perth.
Perth, there you go, yeah.
And we ran up the coast. Yeah.
Yeah.
The chapel in that prison is made. The beams in the chapel are made out of the boat they landed in.
Wow.
The ship they landed in.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think we might have to bring that up as well.
Yeah.
I've got photos of that. But yeah.
So we can expand on other films that we are doing. Absolutely, it doesn't have to be a complete gore fest. I don't want that to.
And we're going to do Amityville.
Yes. Proposition will be next time after the Amityville horror. Enough said. You know what it is. You know how to find it.
What about shout-outs?
Shout outs, Evil Corp and Escape Manor.
Yep.
Screen Cream.
Well, Escape Manor has a Halloween
Ooh.
event
Yeah,
coming up in
nice.
October during this sort of 4 days of Halloween and up to Halloween. I think Monday to Thursday it might be.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. Very exciting. It's going to be fun. Turn all the lights off in an escape room. Makes it even harder. And some fun spooks in there as well. It's gonna be
And
good.
before October, we are doing a spooky Friday the 13th during September, as well as a warm up.
Yes.
Absolutely.
This
And
is the Escape Manor?
Yes.
Yes, is at Escape Manor. And of course, during Evil Corp, just come in October, we'll be doing lots of stuff.
Yeah.
It's our silly season, the spooky season.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to shout out Improv Queensland, Act React, IFWG Publishing, who are doing a book that I will have a short story in, which is kind of cool.
It's very cool.
Right.
With Joe R. Lansdale, a bunch of authors, which should be lots of fun. I'll be at NAFA in the end of September. This might not even come out by then, but the North Australian Festival of Arts, we're doing an improv show up in Townsville. I've got a podcast. It's called Evil Popcorn.
Oh!
There's Poppy in the video there. That's me. That's
And shout out Dorian, shout out the band, and
Yes.
shout
Yes.
out Baron and Screen Queen. Thank you very much for doing
Yes.
this with me. It's
Thank
coming
you,
along
Mr.
lovely.
Malcolm.
I'm very
It's
happy.
good.
Yeah, it's cool.
lots of fun.
It is.
What a
I'm learning
wholes-
things as
What a
well.
wholesome
Learning.
note
Yeah,
to end on for
especially on a horror
the Evil
podcast.
Popcorn
Yeah.
podcast.
See, we are nice people. It's the comedians you need to watch out for.
Yeah,
That
like I
is-
told you before.
That is,
The horror people are good. It's the comedians.
that is painfully true, alright?
True.
Well, on that note, for listening,
Yes.
children of the popcorn.
Keeping it bloody.
Yeah, I've been Scream Queen.
Yes, this has been Mr. Popcorn, and I have kept it bloody, absolutely. Baron, what about you? What have you
The
done?
Baron, I've just sat here in a scared silence. Go to bed, children. Go to bed.
Shh.
Whoa.